Welcome, everyone. My name is Rachel Painter, and I'm an extension specialist with the Center for Profitable Agriculture. And today I have with me Annie Self with the Tennessee Department of Ag, and she is here to share with us about cut flower licenses. So I know we get a lot of questions about whether you need a license or what kind of license you might need. And she is the Plant Certification Administrator. So she is here to help us answer all of your questions on licenses. So Annie, our first question is, what kind of licenses are there, and do they need one to sell cut flowers?
We have several different licenses here at the Department of Agriculture for the selling of plants. The good thing about cut flower production is we do not regulate plants without roots. If you want to sell plants with roots, you will need a license from us. But if you're just growing and selling cut flowers, you will not need one. And especially if you're selling at the farmer's market and you want to bring in some leftover plants or some vegetable plants to sell, you would need a license to sell those rooted plants.
So the difference here really is if the plant is rooted, then they do need a license. If the plant is not rooted, then they do not.
That's correct.
Perfect. So what happens if they are trying to sell a mixture of both? So they are selling some rooted plants and some small little 6-packs, for instance, and then they are also selling some cut flowers alongside that. Does that change anything? Or, for instance, there's a greenhouse license here on this page. What if they are growing some of their own starts in a greenhouse, but not necessarily selling rooted stock?
Okay, if you're growing your plants in a greenhouse but not selling them, you don't need a greenhouse license. That's only if you're going to sell those plants that you're growing. And if you want to start a greenhouse, we don't license people until they're actually ready to sell. So you might put your greenhouse up in the spring, but you don't really get off to a good start and you don't really have anything that you're ready to sell. You can wait till the next year to get licensed. And a greenhouse we refer to as a heated structure. So if you have a cold frame or an unheated greenhouse, we normally don't consider that a greenhouse. You could get a greenhouse or a nursery license for that kind of production. So say you're growing mums on plastic outside, then you would want a nursery license for those. But if you're selling little cell packs, you would need a license for those. If you're only selling at the farmer's market and you just have a few, you can apply for the smallest size plant dealer license. That's $50 a year. And it gives people the opportunity to get off to a start without investing a lot of money in license fees.
So can you explain a little bit more about the florist license and what that means? Is a cut flower producer that is growing their own cut flowers and making arrangements or making wreaths or anything like that, whether it's fresh flowers or dried flowers, is that considered a florist?
We issued the florist license to somebody who also sells rooted plants in addition to cut flowers, flower arrangements. A dish garden would require a florist license. Peace lilies, azaleas, mums, those seasonal rooted plants, you would need a florist license for that. But that license is for people who also do cut flowers. If you're only buying and selling plants, then you would have a plant dealer license. So that was put in place to distinguish between the florists who are selling cut flowers, to distinguish them from the plant dealers who are like the box stores.
So for instance, someone selling an amaryllis or any kind of rooted bulb plant, you know, for a Christmas arrangement or something. So they might have
Poinsettia.
Yes, yes. Okay. So even if it's just a bulb that is meant to, be in a pot by itself and it's going to bloom later, they've just planted this bulb, that would be a florist license.
That's correct.
Would a florist license be necessary if they are simply cutting cut flowers and then they are selling those alongside with other flowers that they have purchased, maybe wholesale, but nothing is rooted?
They would not need a license at all. Not for anything that's cut.
Okay.
Christmas greenery, that doesn't require a license. Anything that doesn't have roots.
So everyone, if it does not have roots, you do not need a license. That's the end all be all.
That's the rule of thumb. Yeah.
Good. So if they do need a license, if they look at these lists and they decide that they do need a license, what is their next step? Who do they contact? How do they turn in these forms? And what is required?
Well, they can call our office, 615-837-5137. And we also have it set up now where you can apply online for your license. You would fill out the application, submit it online, and then once your application is reviewed and approved, which can take up to 2 weeks, then we email you an invoice. We send it to the email address you included on your application. You can then pay that invoice online. So it's much faster than it used to be before everything went online. You can also still mail in an application with a check, but that takes a lot longer.
So again, obviously a lot of our cut flower producers that are simply growing and cutting those flowers and selling them do not require any kind of license. But if they do, if they are selling rooted plant material and they have a greenhouse that is a heated structure and they need an inspection, what would that inspection entail?
Once your invoice is paid, we notify the inspector in your area that they need to reach out to you to schedule an inspection. And we have 17 plant inspectors that cover the entire state with 3 supervisors. So our response time is pretty quick. The inspection itself, we're looking for insect or disease issues. We're looking for good sanitation practices. The inspector will explain to you what all the regulations are. If you're shipping anywhere, they'll talk to you about what you need to meet other state requirements. It's really more of an educational visit. We don't come out, we check for certain things, but we don't come out with a clipboard and give you a score. And usually, if we find an insect issue or disease issue, we work with you to correct that. So it's not anything to be afraid of. All our folks are really friendly and they love what they do.
So I see here it says that the licenses expire on June 30th following their issuance. So you would pay this license fee every year. And are they notified of that renewal? How does that work?
It's an annual fee, and we normally send out invoices about the middle of May. So that'll give you 6 weeks to get that license renewed. And we often send a reminder out too before the late fees applied. And the late fee is 50% of the amount covered, which is very high, but all of our license here at CIS have the same late fee.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Annie. And if you have any questions as a cut flower producer, Annie's going to share how you can get in touch with their staff.
You can call our office anytime between 8 and 4:30. You can also leave a message and we'll contact you the next day. Our main phone line is 615-837-5137. And we also have an email address. It's plant.certification@tn.gov. You can also reach out to me. My email address is on the website, but it's Annie.self or Annie, ANNI.self, SELF@tn.gov. So email is often the best way to contact us if you can. but we're happy to talk with you on the phone too.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to their staff anytime. And I am also here to help if you have any questions along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Annie. And if you have any questions as a cut flower producer, Annie's going to share how you can get in touch with their staff.
You can call our office anytime between 8 and 4:30. You can also leave a message and we'll contact you the next day. Our main phone line is 615-837-5137. And we also have an email address. It's plant.certification@tn.gov. You can also reach out to me. My email address is on the website, but it's Annie.self, SELF@tn.gov. So email is often the best way to contact us if you can, but we're happy to talk with you on the phone too.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to their staff anytime. And I am also here to help if you have any questions along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.